Hi, this is Mary Keurig of Frontrunners Innovate magazine. And as you know, we love interviewing innovators and pulling out features relative to the subject matter in the magazine. The edition that we're working on right now is Women's Health and Maternal Health. And I'm welcoming Aral from Turkey. And he's a physician, entrepreneur slash innovator. And we're going to get a little of his story right now and let you know what HERA stands for and what he's doing with his innovation that solves problems. So welcome, Aral. Nice to have you here. So virtually, of course.
Thank you for having me.
Sure. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you came to starting HERA and the problems that you're seeing that you're ready to solve with that.
Yeah, so as you said, I'm a physician, and since medical school, or even before then, I was working with vulnerable populations on healthcare access, mostly in Turkey with migrant farm workers. And obviously with the start of Syrian crisis, I had the chance to work in the borders and sometimes in Syria and in Istanbul, where the largest refugee population lives right now. It's about 1 million people. And Turkey harbors the largest Syrian refugee population of almost 4 million people. So you can imagine it's a huge community. And since then, I've been working on healthcare provision myself as a physician or as a medical student. And then in 2017, I had the opportunity to intern at Harvard's Global Health Center in Dubai, where they focus on innovative global health intervention projects in the Middle East. And during my time there, I worked with phenomenal professors, and I had the chance to particularly work on a project that was focused on demand side interventions to increase uptake of immunization or prenatal care through use of like SMS reminders for the population for them to go to their appointments and stuff. And when I came back, I met with one of my fellow medical students from my class, and we were talking about like how we can use that in our community in serving Syrian refugee population. And something that we realized working with them is they use smartphones a lot. Everyone has that. It's not in majority of the people's minds, they see it as a luxury, but it's not. It's actually described as a lifeline by Doctors Without Borders, because that's how people get information, they stay connected. Then we realized, why don't we use this or utilize this to increase the uptake of preventive services? So it was in 2017 when we first mocked up like plans for HERA, which we're both we were medical students back then, and we don't have any background on technology. So it was just like things pointing to different features of the app. And so basically that's how it started. 2 years ago, I did my Master's of Public Health at Harvard, where we actually became innovators, or more that we realized that we're actually innovating rather than just describing an app or an intervention. So yeah, that's
so. You know, first let's go back to the refugee population, because I know most of the people that would see this understand that Turkey has such a large population. Honestly, I didn't know, as I told you, until one of my advisory board members shared that information with me about 1.5 years ago. What kind of infrastructure exists in Turkey to be able to handle that kind of a refugee population? That's enormous.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, and I'm not sure if I can be as objective as possible, but I think Turkey's response has been pretty good comparing to other countries, because the best thing is healthcare services for refugees are free of charge, and it's funded by EU and the Turkish government, which is if you can imagine, it's a huge budget of like taking care of 4 million people. And then I think Turkey started providing care in the borders first, and then realized, well, it's a huge population, so they had to open the borders and let a lot of people in and distribute them around the country. So I think in a sense that I cannot say it's perfect, obviously, and there are many things lacking, but the infrastructure at least the supply of care is somewhat there. And it has been since the beginning of not the beginning maybe, but since 2013, 14. So there is the supply of care for the refugees.
That's wonderful. I would imagine maybe telehealth is coming into play, hopefully, and maybe some mobile units and things like that that kind of get out to those populations that might be a little bit more removed from areas. So in terms of HERA, is it you and another partner, or do you have a team put together in Turkey?
So people changed a lot during the last 4 years. We started out with a friend who from medical school, who is a phenomenal lady, but then she had to work on other things. But now we have a core team of 6 people. And actually in 2019, we opened our US branch in Boston while I was there doing my master's to migrate some of our business strategy activities to US while we have the NGO in Turkey. So right now it's a two-headed sort of monster, I guess. But the core team is in US right now. We're 6 people from different backgrounds working on it on all on voluntary basis other than our full-time jobs.
So HERA stands for Health Recording App?
Yes, exactly. That's how it started. But we also like the idea that Hera, and you probably know this is a powerful goddess in Greek mythology.
Yes.
And that's something that we like because obviously it's an health intervention, but we do see it as an empowerment tool for the women, the pregnant women or the women who have children. And because the notion behind it is giving them control of their health decisions and health records and everything that are health related to themselves or their children. So that's stick with us, I guess.
So give me a scenario of how that actually works. Say you have a refugee woman or any woman that would be your patient that would come on board with HERA. How do they get to that, and what happens once they're into the system? How do they use that?
Yeah, so the problem that we wanted to focus on is on the demand side, right? There is the supply, as I said, in Turkey. And in most instances, though it might be late, it might be insufficient, there is the supply because we like to focus on that. We like to focus on how we can provide the healthcare. But what we mostly miss is the demand side. So sort of pushing people to that supply or bridging the gap between. So that's where HERA comes in. Let's say there's a refugee woman who has a child of 6 months. They're in Turkey. First of all, again, it's free of charge for them to get the vaccines according to Turkish immunization calendar. But you cannot assume that they actually know this or they actually know where to get that care. So that's where we come in. Someone who has, right now it's in the mobile app form, the flagship product is a mobile app called HERA app. They download it. It's usually that us enroll them through health facilities or OBGYNs and everything. So we get women to download it, or they can find it online because it's open source and free to use for everyone. And then they put the information about themselves and their children. At that point, app helps them navigate the health system. So it tells them where they need to get the care or which documents they need to have in order to get the care they need free of charge. And then
GPS or location connected to know where they can get it locally?
Exactly. So using the map feature, they can see the closest hospitals or closest healthcare facilities that they can go to. And also using the knowledge that women provided, it sort of automatically maps out the dates of immunization calendar specific to that children. The reason for that is it provides reminders like a week ago, a day ago, and the day of the appointment. And there is robust data on this intervention. It shows that it can increase the uptake of immunizations up to 40%. And the reason is not just that they forget about it, but being a refugee, you can imagine there are many things you have to do in a foreign country. You need to find schooling, you need to find a job, you need to find a lot of things. And in that hustle of getting accustomed to life here, preventive care loses its priority. So what we do is providing a behavioral intervention to make them prioritize that in their child's or their own health.
So Aral, does COVID play a part in any of this? How is what you're doing pivoting to kind of serve or bridge the gap between people understanding that they need to be COVID aware, there is maybe vaccines, you know, when they become available, there's testing available and where that is. Do you all help with that?
So yeah, we started, I think, in April. One of the things which we realized was a good decision on our side was we kept HERA as modular as possible, so that it can be modified according to the needs of that specific population. Because we do work with Syrian refugees in Turkey, but in the future we want to be able to provide it to other refugee or migrant communities. And as people who don't know technology that much, we told the IT team, make it as simple as possible that we can play on it.
User friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So starting April, we started doing symptom screening first for the user base. So we asked them their symptoms, whether they had the symptoms of any symptoms similar to COVID every 2 weeks. And we provided information on where they need to go or what they need to do in order to get the care or get information about it. Because these things change a lot, right? COVID is a evolving crisis. So the Ministry of Health changes its protocols a lot, and they need to know what to do, who to call, and stuff like that. So I think that was the COVID sort of tool we used in the app.
Let me talk to you just a little bit about data. So there's the side of the house of your maybe collecting personalized data and how you protect that, how you keep that secure. And the other side of the house is, it sounds like you're gathering some very meaningful data with regard to health with refugees, particularly if they're Syrian or, you know, in Turkey. And where or what do you have a plan or direction, excuse me, for how to utilize that data?
So, I mean, from the start, we knew this would be extremely valuable.
Aral, I think that, this is funny. I think I've muted you by accident, thinking I was trying to mute myself.
Oh,
you're on. There you go.
great.
Yeah, sorry about that, everyone. I was coughing and I was trying to mute myself and ended up muting Aral at the same time. All right, go ahead.
So we realized from the start on that this is extremely valuable data. Refugee health data is highly valuable for many reasons, obviously for health reasons, but also it is something that can be misused outside of its purpose. So we had to ensure that the protocols were there to keep that data safe. And I'm not sure about the names, specific names of the protocols that we use, but one of them is needed by according to Turkish laws, there are some protocols you need to have. And then the strictest one, which is, I think, from France. I mean, the whole EU uses that protocol, but I think France has the strictest one. We had to implement it. But basically right now, we are not, since it is still on the proof of concept phase, well, actually it finished and we're analyzing the data, but it's not being used in a larger scale. But the main idea would be obviously use it to modify or personalize the intervention itself, and seeing the pockets of limited use or less use in different geographical locations or different sort of groups of people. And we actually are in the talks with a professor from Harvard Kennedy School on using machine learning algorithms to automatize and like personalize the notifications or reminders itself to increase the uptake. So I think that's where we're going with the data. But it's, again, it's a very tricky issue to, like, you need to keep that really safe, but also, you know, it's a extremely useful information on the intervention itself.
I think that's wonderful. I see it being very useful, not only for Turkey, but I could see you rolling that out beyond Turkey. And I know you said something about having a branch of what you're doing in the United States, in Boston, I think you said. So you're planning, that is the plan then, is to roll it out beyond what you're doing right now. Would you consider what you're doing in beta, or is it already, you know?
Sorry, would I consider?
Yeah, are you in beta, are you in a testing mode, beta, or something like that? Or do you feel like it's just out on the market at this point in terms of being free to use, but it's out there?
So we sort of rolled out different sort of modes of it. One, the basic version is free to use and open to anyone in the world. But the version that we're actually working more on is, I mean, we could say it's in beta testing. Yeah, we just finished a user experience study on like how a market would do it, to tweak on it. And there's a version 2 coming up in the next couple of months that does not only rely on smartphones, but can also use normal mobile phones with like automated calls or texts and everything. So yeah, in Turkey it's being used, but for other sort of areas that we're right now looking into, one is India, the other one is US. It's sort of in the primary testing phase.
You know, I, myself and one of my business partners had a conversation with the IKEA Foundation, gosh, about 1.5 years ago. And one of the points of interest for them was refugee populations inside of Africa. And I think the gal that I was talking to was in Sierra Leone. And so I could see what you're doing as being very useful, meaningful to foundations like that, who are looking for not only the innovation that will solve a problem, but the data behind that. Because if you're going to give money to something, you need to know what, you know, what the picture looks like now, and then what it could look like with the intervention, and then, you know, the impact that you're having right there. So, you know, excellent work. I think this is great. We're going to drop the link to the website and in with this video, and also into the spotlight, the feature spotlight that we're going to do in the magazine. So thank you, Aral. I appreciate it so much. Great work. Keep it up. I love to see physicians solving problems around the world. This is perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.